Thanks, Michael. Tyler, thanks for taking the time today. First off, I just wanted to ask how you're feeling fitness-wise after playing almost 90 on Sunday and traveling yesterday. And then second, I'm curious, I know you haven't had a ton of time with him in camps over the years, but it seems like Greg has been showing more personality lately on the sidelines. I think he broke his finger in one of those matches trying to get a ball back to one of you guys. What have you made of if do you think there has been an evolution there? And if so, what have you made of it?
Yeah, so first off, I'm feeling good. Of course, the travel is never ideal when you have to travel and then such a quick turnaround, especially coming from Europe with the pandemic. Also, a lot of connecting flights at the moment, not many direct options. So yeah, me and John actually traveled together. It wasn't the best traveling with someone that you just lost to, but it was all right. And then yeah, I'm feeling good, so I'm excited to get with the group and get going. As far as Greg, yeah, of course, I think there's an evolution with everyone in the group, right? I think that our confidence in the group is growing a lot. The team chemistry as well is starting to grow. There's a huge belief in every single player and every single staff member that's involved. So yeah, as far as Greg goes, I think that he's more and more excited about the group every single day. When we started, it was just at the grassroots of the project that he was trying to build, and I think that when he sees that his plans are working and coming to fruition, he has a huge belief in the group and exactly what he's doing.
Next will be Thomas Floyd from the Washington Post.
Hey, Tyler. I wanted to ask about Josh Sargent, who I know you've played with on various levels of the national team program. Over the years, in what ways have you seen him grow and mature as a striker to the point that he's such a strong option for you guys up top now?
Yeah, from the first moment that I met Josh, I actually didn't know that he was so young. I remember when I went with the under 20 national team and played in that World Cup, that I was the youngest player, and then they told me they were calling up Josh Sargent, and I didn't really know him that much. I heard a little bit about him with the under 17s, and when you speak to Josh, you can see how mature he is as a person. And I would describe him the same way on the pitch as well. I mean, being a number 9 and being a young player that has to deal with the pressures of scoring goals and fighting in and out, and for your position, it's never an easy job, especially coming into the national team where we've had good number 9s. So for him, I think that the task at his hand is obviously always to do well at a club level, which you've seen him do. I think that it wasn't always easy at Bremen. Sometimes he wouldn't get the opportunities that other players would get for other teams, but you saw him kind of fight through that adversity a little bit and battle, and I think that's what gives him a little bit of an edge. He's always had that mentality to just be ruthless in front of goal, and obviously with his move to Norwich, I'm excited to see how he does, but I'm happy that he's already got on the score sheet there as well.
Next will be Drake Hills from the Tennessee.
Yeah, Tyler, obviously 3 years ago, just to jump to Nashville. I know you guys are going to go down to El Salvador, but 3 years ago, obviously that was when you scored your first international goal. Mm-hmm. So I know that you remember that well. If you could paint me a picture of what that was like, and fast forward to World Cup qualifying this time around. How do you measure what and how far you've come since then? What are some of the key factors in your improvement, and what are you looking forward to the most as a player in World Cup qualifying? Thanks.
Yeah, so scoring my first goal is obviously a moment you'll always remember. Playing in the States and stateside, being able to represent your country with family and friends and the American Outlaws and home crowd is amazing. So I mean, yeah, I remember that goal vividly against the rivals playing Mexico. The crowd going wild, being able to see my mom and dad, obviously super excited for that moment. It was a huge moment in my career and definitely gave me a little bit of a turning point in my career as well, of where I wanted to go with the national team, and dreams I had as a little boy playing for the national team. So I remember that vividly, and hopefully I can score another one on Sunday against Canada. But yeah, I think that when Greg first came into the national team, he put in a plan in place that I don't think any national team coach has been willing to take the risk of doing. Basically changing the whole way that the system would work inside and out, whether it was our tactics, the players that we wanted to have, what certain positions needed to do, the qualities that we needed to have, and basically how we can develop and get better leading up to this point, which is going to be on Thursday for our first qualifying game. after not qualifying for the last World Cup, it took a little bit of a little time period where we had a different coach before they announced Greg. But as soon as he came in and put that plan in place, I would say that, we've been able to develop so much, because not only have we been able to execute that plan, but along the way of this, we've hit, some bumps in the road where we've been able to create variations to the way that we play. And that's made us ultimately a stronger team now.
Next would be Brian Shretta from American Soccer Now.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Tyler. Tyler, when you were 17 and 18 years old, you were one of the top young players in MLS, and soon after you were brought into the national team. Now we're seeing Ricardo Pepi, he plays a different position, but kind of on a similar path. What is it like to be in his shoes right now, trying to make this transition, as you look back to being in your situation? And then, and how's he doing so far in the early stages of camp? What do you think about his inclusion to the team?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously he's a name that's, being talked about a lot lately, and rightfully so. He's doing an amazing job in MLS, and, whenever I check the scores of the games or New York Red Bull scores or anything like that, I always see his name on the score sheet for FC Dallas. So credit to him. Obviously, he's worked extremely hard to put himself in this position, and him obviously, choosing to represent the U.S. is also a very cool moment for him. He's worked really hard to draw the attraction of two national teams, and now we're happy to have him included in the group. So when I look back and I remember my first time coming into a national camp, and I remember being a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous, not really knowing what to expect. I think it was a little bit different for me, where we were going through a transition period and a little bit more veteran players, that when I came in and I was able to have conversations with these guys, I knew exactly what to expect. Whereas now it's a little bit of a younger group, not so experienced, and when he comes in, he kind of fits right in. So I think that the environment that we've created here is so welcoming for so many different types of players, and for him, his talent will speak for itself when he gets his opportunities to play. But as a person, he's been able to come in, everyone will welcome him, and we're looking forward to having him on the field.
Next will be Tom Bogert from MLSsoccer.com.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for taking the time, Tyler. Greg has talked about how a lot of the work will be undone if World Cup qualifying is unsuccessful, and a bunch of the players have kind of touched on this as well. But what's your mentality heading into these first games? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I don't think the work will be undone, because there's no plan B for us. There's only been a plan A, and that's obviously to qualify for the World Cup. So, when I think about the experiences that we've had now in the past, 2 years, I would say, as a group, and how much we've developed, it's ultimately for this moment right here. So, we've waited a long time for this, and, the expectations are high going into this week. We've talked about it as a group, how, in the last cycle, they didn't win one game away from home. So, going into this window right here, right off the bat, we have 2 opportunities to win 2 games away, and that puts us obviously in a good position going into the next window. So, we're looking for a 9-point week, bottom line. If you don't set the standard high, then obviously there's going to be a lot of room for improvement. So we want to set the standard and the bar high, and, we're always looking to reach that goal.
Next will be Ron Vaughn from the Associated Press.
Hi, Tyler. Looking back to your time with the youth national teams, what did you learn about the challenges of playing in Central America with those teams, and does that in any way prepare you for what you face in the World Cup qualifiers on the road?
Yeah, I would say that the one thing that I learned from playing with the youth national teams in Central America would be that you can't be naive in these games. When you go into these games being naive, thinking that they're going to be an easy game, or that there's going to be opportunity to score a lot of goals, and I think this is where you're able to make a lot of mental mistakes. And for us going into this game, we need to be prepared for a challenge, for a battle, that it might not be pretty football, that we're going to have to win our duels, that these guys are going to be hungry to come out, that when they represent the U.S., it's like playing Manchester City or playing one of the best teams in the world, because that's just how it's always been in CONCACAF. The pitches might not be great. There's a lot of things that we can make excuses about, but when we go down there, we just have to be ready to battle. And at the end of the day, the intensity and the mentality has to be there, or else it's going to be a grind the whole game.
Next will be Doug McIntyre from Fox.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, Tyler. Thanks for doing this. You mentioned playing on Sunday and the recovery process and all that. Greg said that he's not really expecting or he's expecting significant squad rotation. Do you feel capable of playing in all 3 games if you think you're able to? And as an unrelated follow-up, the guys that have been there before in qualifying, what have they told you? How have they helped prepare the group for in particular the 2 away games you're going to have in the next week? Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that the one thing that's amazing about this team, and obviously we showed it this summer, not to harp on the fact that we obviously won 2 tournaments, but what that showed us was that we do have, amazing team depth in the squad, and there's even players that, might even deserve to be here that weren't even called in at the moment. So we're very fortunate to be in that position, to be fair, because that doesn't force us to have to play all 3 games, and that we can rely on that next man up mentality. As far as me, yeah, I feel capable of playing in these 3 games. Obviously, it's early in the season. Obviously, still getting that fitness to 100% and that sharpness to 100%. But I think that, yeah, when I'm needed, and of course I want to play in all 3 of these games. They're so important, and I feel that I'm definitely capable of doing that.
Sanjay, you're next.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Tyler. Tyler, we've heard Gio and Wes in interviews in the past talk about the possibility of the 3 of you playing together in the midfield. Gio's been playing deeper lately for Dortmund. There's chatter about maybe trying him in a midfield role with the national team. Just wanted to get your thoughts on his growth as a player and how you think the 3 of you could fit together, and the challenge of potentially of getting new things like that to mesh in high-stakes games like World Cup qualifying. Thank you.
Yeah, well, first, I think we would mesh really well. We all have such different characteristics that when you put them all together, it's honestly a really ideal balance to a midfield. But yeah, I mean, who knows who will play together and how it will work. We have so many quality players in the team. But as far as Gio, yeah, his growth speaks for itself. When he first started playing with Dortmund, he already looked, well above his age and stature, and he's only grown into that position and role even more. And I think that, now people are really starting to see his quality and exactly what he can do, since not only Sancho has left, but it's just left him a bigger role with bigger shoes to fill, and he's able to do that seamlessly. So, yeah, I'm very happy with him. Obviously, close friend of mine, and growing up in New York together, I always want to see him succeed, and I'm always supporting him. And this season so far for Dortmund, he's been at the top of his game, so I'm super excited for him.